Budget projections show Maryland is in danger of reaching billions of dollars in debt.
That's right. Patrick Huff from our Spotlight on Maryland team investigates if state leaders are planning ahead or procrastinating when it comes to deficit concerns.
I don't want to say they ignored some of these things. They ignored some of these structural deficits.
We're halfway through the legislative session, and Maryland lawmakers are focusing on Governor Wes Moore's proposed budget. Moore has touted his administration's ability to balance the budget this year with no new taxes or fees. However, some lawmakers and economists say that Moore's budget ignores the state's most pressing issue. The Maryland Department of Legislative Services predicts that the state will have a roughly $3 billion structural deficit by fiscal year 2028, which will grow to about $4 billion by fiscal year 2030.
4 years ago really would have been the time to really start some of the look into some of the efficiencies.
That's Dr. Darius Arani, the Vice President of Business and Public Engagement at Towson University. He said Maryland leaders need to enact long-term solutions to address the deficit, such as restructuring state agencies.
The Maryland state government really needs to look at sort of what it does, what its mission is. You know, one of the challenges that it faces is its revenues aren't growing as fast as expenditures.
A point that Republican delegate Matt Morgan seconded.
No, they're kicking the can down the road, and they've been kicking the can down this entire term.
Morgan said Maryland Democrats prioritized a way to avoid raising taxes in an election year. However, he said there are rumors that state leaders may look to raise the sales tax by 2% next year to counter the deficit.
This is an election budget. No one's told us what we're going to do next year.
Maryland leaders raised a series of taxes and fees last year to address the state's deficit. This included a new tax on IT and data services, tax increases on high-income earners, and an increase on vehicle taxes and more. Senate Minority Leader Steve Hershey said Maryland leaders need to show they're serious about addressing future budget concerns or risk more people leaving the state.
Next year is very concerning and should be concerning for Marylanders. We would like to send market signals out to businesses to tell them that we have a way to address these out-year deficits.
There are several factors behind Maryland's deficit spikes starting next year that lawmakers will need to address. This includes scheduled spending increases for Medicaid and the Blueprint Education Plan. Meanwhile, a report last year from the Maryland Comptroller found that from 2022 to 2024, Maryland ranked top 10 in the nation for losing residents to other states. The more residents who move, the less revenue the state gets to balance its budget.
Collectively, we really have done a poor job in sort of managing Maryland's finances, writ large. I don't think there's sort of anybody would argue that we've just done a bang-up job. I really think that Maryland needs to really use this crisis to really look at focus.
Arani said Maryland leaders need to pursue policies that attract more residents and businesses to raise revenue. On the spending side, Morgan said lawmakers have little choice but to reassess some of their more expensive programs.
Well, you can make the necessary cuts and the hard choices. And that, unfortunately, is probably revolving around the board front and around a Medicaid expansion.
We reached out to Democratic Senator Guy Gazzone, chair of the Budget and Taxation Committee, and Democratic Delegate Ben Barnes, chair of the Appropriations Committee, with the following questions. How do you plan to address Maryland's pending structural deficits? Are you committed to avoiding any new taxes or fees? Neither responded. A spokeswoman for Governor Moore's office dismissed the question about whether he will commit to no new taxes or fees in a potential second term, writing, quote, his focus is passing yet another responsible balanced budget.
You can read the full statement from Governor Moore on our website. We'll keep a close eye on the budget process in the coming weeks. For Spotlight on Maryland, I'm Patrick Huff.
I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.